So this is what we got. Got two weed eaters. Guy drops them off and says, hey, can you fix them? They've been sitting outside for about 5 or 6 years. Now they look pretty clean now, but they were pretty rough. I've already done some work to them and still having a couple of issues. So this is what we got. Fuel lines were rotted. Replaced the fuel lines. Carburetor was just gummed up really bad. Fuel, everything just, yeah, bad condition. Cleaned everything up. Rebuilt the carburetor with a rebuild kit, and they fire up, but they don't stay running. Adjusted the mixture screws on it. Still not running much better on it, and the performance on them is just very inconsistent. Check the spark plugs, check for everything checks out right, but no matter what I do for the carburetor, it's really not making much of a difference. This is the Ryobi 780R, same thing, Ryobi ES30. So one thing I found when I took apart the carburetor is that the seats and the passages and everything, because water got into here, they're all corroded and they're pretty bad, which is going to create your inconsistency, and you're never going to be able to get that fuel mixture right just because a lot of the metal has been eaten away. So priced it. Carburetors for the original ones are expensive at my local shop, $80 to $120 depending on the vendor they get it from, and that's not an option considering that, I mean, if you were to flip these things, they sell for about $60 to $70. So you're not going to make a profit in the sense if you're trying to flip them, but if you're trying to keep it long term, is it really worth getting that original carburetor? Probably, but in this case I don't see the value in it, and the customer kind of wants me to get this fixed and running decent so he could at least get it going for another season or two. So got online and found these aftermarket Chinese brand carburetors, and I've had hit or miss with them. And my thing is, I wonder if these, and these are the HIPAs, HIPA, however you pronounce them, they were like $10 and they got good reviews. So I'm wondering if we're able to pop these in, fire it up, and see if these things run. Typically the issue that I find with these aftermarket ones is that they're just not made to true spec, and they could cause some issues. Sometimes you can't adjust them right. So it's hit or miss depending on how it was made, and a lot of these things are just not made consistently. So let's go ahead, throw this on the ground, pick it up, take out these old carburetors, pop in the new one, and let's see how well they work. All right, so this one's pretty easy to take out. Just these two bolts. Pop this in. Now fortunately I made these fuel lines a little too long, which is fine. So it's stuck and I don't really feel like messing with it, so we're just going to cut it. Pop it in where it needs to go. Takes care of that one. New filter. Well, not new, but it's the same one as before. Pop this in. Throttle feels good. All right, let's give this one a fire. All right, that worked perfect. Fired right up, no issues. Needs slight adjustments, but there's plenty of room for adjustment on that. Just got to set the high speed so it just gets a little more rev. The idle's perfect. The spool is not moving on its own under idle, so far that carburetor is working good. Let's see if we go 2 for 2. So now right over here, this has this little C-clip that holds this in place, and this is what actually holds the throttle cable. So I think what I have to do is take this off, pop out the C-clip, and then transfer it to the new one, and hopefully that should work. I'm gonna clip off these lines, that way they don't leak, because fuel's expensive. That didn't work. So now, there's a little C-clip right in there, and we need to try to get that out. I'm going to pop this in here to keep the throttle open. Let's see if this will cooperate and not go shooting across my garage. Alright, got it off. The easiest way I found to do it was to put in a vise, use a small flathead screwdriver, and I just tapped it with a hammer and it popped right off that little C-clip over here. And it didn't go flying in my garage, that's a good thing, so a vise was definitely essential for that. I'm sure there's an easier way to do it, but this worked. A lot easier to put on than take off. All right, so this clone carburetors actually work pretty good. I'm impressed. I did have to do a little bit of adjustment on this one, as I had to turn the screws all the way in clockwise and then counterclockwise 1 1/4 turn for each, the low and high, and then I just adjust the idle until I got it perfect where it was able to idle on its own without the front spinning over here. And then on high rev I was able to bring it up on the high idle, bring it to where it was nice and strong, and yeah, fires up on first pull. Very happy with that one. This one, same thing. Well, this one was actually a lot better. I popped it in, it worked real fine. I just had to raise the high idle just a little bit and bring down the low idle just a smidge, and it works perfect. They fire up, they work good. These carburetors, I got them on Amazon, HIPA, however you pronounce them, and they were only $12 each, and for $24 these are back working. I could build a customer probably $40-50 for both each for these, make a little bit of money just for, realistically, I mean, an hour's worth of work. So may sound cheap, but they're also my neighbor, gotta treat them pretty good. So Chinese aftermarket carburetors, not too bad. Hit or miss. I've had some bad ones, I've had some good ones. Luckily these were simple bolt-in slight adjustments and they worked fine. Only trick was kind of getting that little dowel pin out with the C-clip, but a little vice action and it worked good. So hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. Subscribe if you're not, and we'll see what we fix next.